Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're acting on a listener request, a big one.
That's right. We're tackling the strategic payment solutions landscape, specifically the three giants, Stripe, Adyen, and PayPal.
Exactly. We've done a pretty comprehensive benchmark analysis looking at these three from, well, pretty much every angle.
Yeah, we looked at market share, growth, product stacks, pricing,
Mm.
but also, and this is crucial, the operational risk, because that can really make or break things.
And the big takeaway right off the bat, there isn't one best choice here. It really, really depends on your business, where you are now, your model, where you're trying to go.
Precisely. You've got PayPal, kind of the legacy player, huge consumer brand, loads of trust.
Then Stripe, the fast challenger, really cornered the tech and developer space.
And then Adyen, sort of operating on a different plane, really focusing as the specialist for huge global companies, the enterprise expert.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Maybe start with just the sheer scale. Who's actually winning in terms of market dominance right now?
Well, if you look purely at global online payment processing share, PayPal is still the big dog, holding around 43.4% globally as of this year.
Wow, still nearly half.
Yeah, and their strength isn't just tech. It's that massive user base, over 435 million active users. People just click that PayPal button.
Yeah.
There's built-in trust.
Okay, but scale isn't everything. What about momentum? Where's Stripe fitting in?
Right, Stripe is the main challenger.
Yeah.
Globally, their share is somewhere between, say, 20, maybe 29%, depending on the source. But here's the kicker. In the U.S. domestic market, Stripe is dominant. We're talking 45% share. That tells you how deeply embedded they are in that high-growth U.S. tech scene. Startups, SES, that's their heartland.
Got it. So PayPal has the global volume. Stripe has the key U.S. tech market momentum. Where does that leave Adyen on the scale chart?
Adyen's playing a different game. Smaller overall share, definitely, but they're not really chasing overall share. They specialize. Big multinational enterprises, their whole focus is on unified commerce.
Unified commerce, meaning connecting online and physical stores.
Exactly. Online, in-store POS systems, mobile, all flowing through one platform. That's critical for the kind of massive global retailers they target. They want the biggest, most complex accounts.
Okay, that strategic difference must show up in the financials too. Let's talk TPV, total payment volume.
It does. PayPal's TPV is still huge, $1.92 trillion. I mean, the number is staggering, but growth, only about 6.1% year over year.
Okay, only 6%. And Stripe?
Stripe's TPV, estimated around $1.14 trillion, so smaller than PayPal in sheer volume processed. But their growth rate, nearly double, 12.3% year over year.
Ah, okay. So that momentum we talked about is clearly reflected there. Stripe's growing much faster, capturing more of the sort of future market.
Definitely suggests that. But then there's the profitability angle, and this is where Adyen really shines. It's kind of a paradox.
How so? Stripe has more revenue, right? $5.1 billion net revenue in 2024.
Yes, higher raw revenue than Adyen. But Adyen's operational efficiency is, well, incredible. They reported a 50% EBITDA margin in the first half of 2025. 50.
50%. That's huge for this sector, isn't it? What exactly is EBITDA, again, for everyone listening?
Right. It's basically earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Think of it as a strong measure of core operating profitability and efficiency. A 50% margin is just exceptional leverage.
And Stripe.
Stripe, despite its size and growth, only just posted its first ever quarterly net profit in Q1 2025. So Adyen is way ahead in turning revenue into actual profit efficiently.
That difference speaks volumes about their models. Stripe is fueling growth, maybe at the cost of short-term profit, focusing on developers, startups.
Tech-savvy clients, SaaS, marketplaces. Their edge is that developer focus, flexible APIs, tools for scaling fast.
While Adyen is laser-focused on those large global enterprises, the ones needing complex, cross-channel, omni-channel solutions. Their advantage is unified commerce, stability at scale.
Exactly. And PayPal. They stick to their knitting. SMBs, freelancers, consumer e-commerce. Their advantage is that undeniable consumer trust. That 86% conversion rate figure you sometimes see cited. That's powerful for merchants. People know and trust the PayPal button.
Okay, that sets the stage really well. Who they are, who they serve. Now, let's get into the money part, the pricing, because, wow, these models are radically different.
Oh, yeah. This is where you really see who they want as a customer long-term. It's a fundamental strategic choice. Simplicity versus cost optimization.
Stripe seems to be all about simplicity, right? Their flat rate model.
Correct. Super transparent. Like 2.9% plus 30 cents for a standard domestic card transaction. Easy to understand, easy to budget for, especially if you're a startup. No monthly fees, no minimums usually.
But that simplicity can get expensive if you're doing massive volume.
Precisely. Which brings us to Adyen and their interchange plus plus model. It sounds complicated and, well, it is a bit more complex.
Okay, break down interchange plus plus for us.
Sure. It separates the cost into three clear parts. There's a small fixed processing fee per transaction. Then there's the actual interchange fee. That's the fee charged by the card network, like Visa or MasterCard, and it varies. And finally, there's Adyen's own markup, usually a variable fee.
So it's transparent but not simple. You see exactly what goes where.
Exactly. It requires more work, maybe a dedicated finance person to track it properly. But for businesses doing huge volumes, it almost always works out cheaper in the long run than a flat rate. You're paying closer to the true costs.
Right, optimized for scale. And then there's PayPal.
PayPal. Known for, let's say, a seriously complicated fee schedule. It's a lot.
Haha, okay. Their standard rate is a bit higher than Stripe's already, isn't it? 2.99% plus 49 cents domestically.
Yep, and that's just the start. It varies significantly by transaction type, currency, whether you're using certain features. Plus, they often have optional monthly fees for add-ons, like $30 a month for a virtual terminal.
And we need to talk about hidden costs, especially international ones.
Oh, absolutely. If you sell across borders, PayPal can get very expensive very quickly. They often charge a specific cross-border fee, maybe 1.5%, plus a currency conversion markup that can be anywhere from 3.0% to even 4.0%.
Ouch. That's a significant chunk potentially eating into your margins on international sales.
It really adds up. It's a definite watch-out. You need to model that carefully.
So these pricing structures really reinforce the ideal customer profile we discussed. Stripe for scaling tech, Adyen for optimized enterprise, PayPal for SMBs, perhaps less sensitive to complex fees, but valuing conversions?
That's a good way to put it. Now, closely related to this is the tech side, the developer experience, the product ecosystem.
And Stripe is legendary here, right? The API quality.
It really is the gold standard. Their API documentation is just superb. Restful, clear examples. They even personalize code snippets with your actual API key right there in the docs. It makes integration incredibly fast.
That detail focus explains why, what was it, 80% of IT companies integrate with Stripe?
Yeah, 80.1%. It just saves developers time and headaches. They make it easy to build on top of their platform.
How does Adyen compare on the tech front? Robust, I assume.
Incredibly robust, yes. Technically, very sound, comprehensive, supports tons of languages. But, and this is key, it's not designed as plug-and-play like Stripe sometimes feels. It assumes you have significant internal technical resources.
So powerful, but requires more heavy lifting to integrate. Again, pointing to that enterprise focus.
Exactly. They expect you to have a dedicated team. PayPal, on the other hand, their tech edge is ease of entry for the basics.
Like just adding that checkout button.
Precisely. You can get that core PayPal checkout working with minimal technical skill. It serves its purpose for SMBs, but it doesn't offer nearly the same level of control or customization as Stripe or Adyen.
Okay, let's talk core product strengths beyond just the payment processing itself. Where do they each excel? Subscriptions seem like Stripe's domain.
Absolutely undisputed leader there. The data shows they power something like 70% of the top subscription services and maybe 58% of SaaS platforms with over $5 million in annual recurring revenue. They essentially built the infrastructure for the modern subscription economy.
Impressive. What about omnichannel? You mentioned Adyen earlier.
Yeah, Adyen is the clear winner for businesses that need both physical and digital sales seamlessly connected. That single, unified platform bringing together online, in-store POS data, mobile, that's their killer app for large global retailers. It's non-negotiable for many of them.
And Adyen also leads on global reach, right? Local payment methods.
Massively. They support over 250 local payment methods around the world. Think GiroPay in Germany, Pix in Brazil, the list goes on. Being able to offer the specific payment method customers prefer in each country, that directly boosts conversion rates internationally. Huge advantage.
Okay, we've covered market, money, tech products. Now we need to hit what you called maybe the most critical factor. Operational risk and account stability. This sounds serious.
It is. This is the factor that can genuinely sink a fast-growing business if you get it wrong. It comes down to the underlying operational model they use.
And there's a fundamental difference here between Adyen and the other two.
A huge difference. Stripe and PayPal Both primarily operate using what's called the payment aggregator model.
Aggregator model. Okay, what does that mean in practice?
It means that thousands, maybe tens of thousands, of individual merchants' businesses like yours potentially are all grouped together under a single shared merchant ID held by Stripe or PayPal.
Ah, okay. And that's why onboarding with them is usually so fast, because they're not underwriting each business individually at the start.
Exactly. It allows for incredibly fast, almost frictionless onboarding. Sign up, add some code, start taking payments, minimal upfront checks.
Sounds great for speed, but I sense a but coming. What's the catch? What's the risk?
The risk is systemic and potentially devastating. Because you're all in that shared pool, if one merchant in that pool gets flagged for high-risk activity, excessive fraud, too many chargebacks, what are the automated risk systems,
Uh-oh.
can trigger actions that affect the whole group, or at least parts of it. This can lead to sudden, unexpected holds being placed on your funds, or worse, account termination, often with very little warning or clear human explanation.
Wait, so my account, my cash flow, could be frozen because of something completely unrelated that another merchant did in the same pool.
That is the inherent risk of the aggregator model.
Yeah.
We've all heard the horror stories, right? Businesses having their Stripe or PayPal funds frozen just as they're scaling, crippling their operations. It's a known, frequent complaint point for both platforms. It's like a sort of Damocles hanging over you.
That is terrifying, especially for a business relying on that cash flow. So how does Adyen avoid this? You mentioned they use a different model.
Yes, Adyen uses dedicated merchant accounts, or merchant IDs, often called MINs.
Meaning each business gets its own unique account with the underlying banks.
Correct. The onboarding process with Adyen is much more rigorous. It takes longer, involves more underwriting and checks up front. But the huge advantage is account stability. Your account, your risk profile, is isolated.
So no risk of being impacted by other merchants' bad behavior.
Drastically reduced risk. Your operations aren't tied to the volatility of thousands of others in the same boat. For a large enterprise where predictable cash flow is paramount, that stability is absolutely critical. It's often worth the slower onboarding.
That stability difference sounds like a massive deciding factor for larger businesses. What about chargeback costs? Are they different too? Always a pain point.
They're always a pain, yes. Stripe, for instance, charges a $15 fee per disputed payment, and importantly, it's non-refundable even if you win the dispute.
So you pay $15 regardless.
Yep. PayPal charges $20, but they might waive it if you qualify for certain seller protection programs. Adyen's specific fee isn't always publicly disclosed, but it's generally understood to be in a similar range, maybe $5 to $100 depending on the situation. It's an unavoidable cost of doing business online, sadly.
Okay, let's try and synthesize all this. We've covered a lot of ground. What are the core strategic trade-offs you see emerging?
I think it boils down to three key ones. First, it's speed versus stability. That's the aggregator model, Stripe PayPal, versus the dedicated account model, Adyen. Fast onboarding with some risk, or slower onboarding with much greater stability.
Okay, speed versus stability. What's number two?
Simplicity versus long-term cost. That's Stripe's easy flat rate versus Adyen's more complex but potentially cheaper interchange plus plus for high volumes. Predictability versus optimization.
Got it. Simplicity versus cost. And the third?
I'd say brand trust versus developer control. PayPal offers that instant consumer recognition driving checkouts. Stripe and, to some extent, Adyen offer deep control and customization for tech-savvy teams who want to own the payment flow.
Those three trade-offs really frame the decision well. So based on all that, can we offer some clear, actionable recommendations, connecting back to the listener trying to choose?
Absolutely. Let's try.
Okay. So if you're listening and you run a high-growth startup, maybe a SaaS platform or a tech-forward digital business, who should you lean towards?
Almost certainly Stripe. Its developer-first approach, the quality of its API, the whole ecosystem built around scaling tech businesses, and that predictable flat-rate pricing. It's designed for seamless, customized growth. The speed and control often outweigh the stability concerns, at least in the early to mid stages.
Makes sense. Now, what if you're a much larger established enterprise, maybe a multinational corporation, especially one juggling online and physical store sales?
Then Adyen becomes the compelling choice. Their unified commerce platform is built for that exact complexity. The direct network connections, the interchange plus pricing for cost savings at scale, and crucially, that enhanced account stability from dedicated MIDs. It offers the operational robustness and cost efficiency large enterprises demand.
Right. Stability and cost optimization trumping initial setup speed. Finally, what about the small business owner, the freelancer, the e-commerce merchant who's really focused on just getting that sale at the checkout?
For them, PayPal often remains the pragmatic choice. Despite the complex fees and the aggregator risk, the sheer power of that brand recognition and its massive built-in user network can genuinely drive higher conversion rates. That immediate trust factor at checkout can be worth more than anything else for smaller players.
So it really comes back to aligning the platform's core strengths with your specific business profile and priorities. Stripe for tech scale, Adyen for enterprise stability, PayPal for SMB conversion.
That's the strategic fit in a nutshell.
We've mapped out these three dominant forces pretty clearly, I think.
Yeah, and maybe a final thought to leave people with, tying back to that risk element we discussed.
Go for it.
Given how critical cash flow is and how tightly payment stability is linked to that underlying account model, aggregator versus dedicator, you have to ask yourself, especially if you're that high-growth startup, choosing Stripe for its speed and API. Is that initial advantage truly worth the non-zero risk, however small it might seem now, of hitting a sudden, potentially devastating account freeze right when your business is hitting escape velocity down the road?
That's a heavy question. It forces you to weigh that operational stability risk much more seriously, even early on. What's your tolerance for that kind of potential disruption?
Exactly. What really stands out to you, the listener, as the biggest risk versus reward trade-off when you think about your own financial infrastructure?
A truly successful business has to think beyond just today's features or pricing. It needs a partner aligned with tomorrow's operational stability, something to really mull over.
Indeed.
All right, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Until next time, keep digging deeper.